My name is Selena Lawson. I'm 30 years old. Last Tuesday, I sat in my office in Portland and listened to 43 voicemails from my family. People I hadn't spoken to in 7 years. Not one said, "I'm sorry." Every single one said the same 2 words. Before I tell you what those words were, let me take you back to Thanksgiving 2019. The night everything broke. Ridgewood, Ohio. Population 4,000. The kind of town where gossip travels faster than the internet. I was 23. Working 2 jobs. Saving every cent. My sister Meredith had just been promoted. My mother stood at the head of the table and made a toast. To Meredith. Our shining star. Always making this family proud. 15 people raised their glasses. I raised mine too. Nobody asked what I was doing. Nobody asked about my classes, my savings, my plans. I was wallpaper in my own family's house. But I'd come to that dinner with one question. I waited until dessert. "Mom," I said, "is there any money left in Grandma Ruth's education fund?" She told me she set aside money for each of us. The table went quiet. The kind of quiet that tells you a grenade just rolled under your chair. My mother set her coffee cup down slowly. Looked at me. Then looked at every single person at that table. And when she spoke, her voice was sweet enough to rot teeth. "See, this is what I've been dealing with. She's been acting erratic for months." I didn't respond. I sat there with pumpkin pie going cold on my plate and 15 pairs of eyes on me like I'd just cursed in church. I excused myself. Went to the kitchen. Started washing dishes, because that's what I did at every family gathering. I cleaned up while everybody else celebrated. Then I heard my mother's voice through the doorway, low, talking to my aunt. "Ruth's fund went to Meredith's sorority dues and her car. Selena doesn't need it. She's not going anywhere anyway." I turned the water off. Grandma Ruth had set up education accounts for both of us. $12,000 each. She told me herself, 2 years before she passed. Sat me down at her kitchen table, held my hands, and said, "This is for your future, sweetheart. Nobody can touch it but you." Somebody touched it. I walked back into the dining room. "That money was mine," I said. "Grandma left it for me. You had no right." My mother didn't flinch. She tilted her head the way she always did when she was about to rewrite reality. "You're being dramatic, Selena. You always make everything about money." 10 minutes later, she called everyone into the living room. I'd seen this play before. Different holidays, different triggers, same choreography. "I've tried to keep this private," she said, dabbing her eye with a napkin. "But I think everyone needs to know. Selena hasn't been well. She's been having episodes." I looked at my father. He stared at the carpet. Said nothing. I looked at my brother Kyle. He gave a small nod, not to me. To her. I looked at Meredith. She was scrolling her phone. 15 relatives in that room. Not one said, "Selena, are you okay?" I went upstairs. Packed a suitcase. $200 in tip money. A winter coat. And a small wooden box Grandma Ruth had left me, the one I'd never opened because opening it meant admitting she was really gone. I walked down the stairs and through the living room. My mother's voice followed me to the door. "If you walk out that door, don't bother coming back." I didn't slam it. I closed it gently. Because I knew I'd never open it again. Outside, snow was falling on Ridgewood, Ohio. That was the last time I heard my mother's voice for 7 years. I bought a Greyhound ticket. The furthest I could get for what I had, Portland, Oregon. 38 hours on a bus with my suitcase between my knees and a box of my dead grandmother's things on my lap. I didn't sleep. I just watched America scroll past the window. Cornfields. Flatlands. Mountains. Rain. The woman next to me offered me half a sandwich outside of Omaha. She didn't ask why I was crying. She just handed me a napkin and looked out the window. Sometimes strangers give you more grace in 10 seconds than your family manages in 23 years. Portland. December. First night, a women's shelter off Burnside. Second week, a hostel that smelled like bleach and bad decisions. No credit history. No references. No local connections. Just a work ethic my family had spent 23 years exploiting and 0 years appreciating. I found a job within 2 weeks. Receptionist at a small consulting firm. I answered phones and sorted mail. It wasn't glamorous. It was a paycheck. 3 weeks in, I checked Facebook once, the first and last time. My mother had posted in the family group. Please keep Selena in your prayers. She's going through a difficult time and we just hope she's safe. We love her and our door is always open. 112 reactions. 26 comments. All saying things like "You're such a strong mother, Diane." Kyle's comment sat right at the top. She always was the dramatic one. 47 likes. I deleted Facebook that night. And I didn't look back. Let me be honest about what no contact actually costs when you're 23 with nothing. No savings. No health insurance. No emergency contact on any form. I wrote "not applicable" for 2 years until I had someone worth listing. No birthday calls. No Christmas cards. No one to tell when I got the flu so bad I couldn't get off the bathroom floor. And the thing nobody warns you about, the permanent low hum of knowing that somewhere in Ohio, 15 people are telling a story about you. And you can't correct a single word of it. But here's what silence also gave me. The first morning I really woke up in Portland, not startled awake by anxiety, I lay in my hostel bunk and realized something was missing. It took me a full minute to identify it. My mother's voice. That constant internal narration, "You're not enough, you're not enough," had gone quiet. Like someone had finally found the off switch on a radio I'd been hearing my whole life. At the firm, my manager Margaret noticed me before I noticed myself. I'd reorganized the entire client filing system in my first week. 3 years of scattered folders, cross-referenced and color-coded. Nobody asked me to. I just couldn't stand the chaos. Margaret walked past my desk on Friday, stopped, came back. "You reorganized 3 years of client files in 4 days. Who does that?" I looked up. Someone who needed something to control. She didn't laugh. She didn't pity me. She pulled up a chair and said, "Tell me what else you see that's broken." I enrolled in Portland State's online business program. Classes at night. Work during the day. Paid tuition out of every paycheck. Cut my own hair for 2 years. No montage. No swelling music. Just alarm clocks and spreadsheets and falling asleep with a textbook on my chest at 1 a.m. I didn't have a plan to become successful. I had a plan to never feel powerless again. The success was a side effect. 3 years later, I finished my degree. No ceremony. I printed the diploma at a FedEx, framed it with a $10 frame from Target, and hung it above my desk. Margaret knocked on my door the next morning. "Congratulations. How's project manager sound?" Year 6. Margaret sat me down and offered me a title I'd never imagined. Chief Operating Officer. The firm had grown from 8 employees to 120. 2 offices. Programs that had impacted over 50,000 families across the Pacific Northwest. I wasn't rich, I want to be clear about that. I drove a used Subaru. I lived in a 1-bedroom in Northeast Portland. But I had a retirement account, savings, and health insurance that covered dental. By the standards of the girl who slept in a shelter 7 years ago, I was breathing air I never thought I'd reach. Then came the magazine profile. A regional publication. My photo. My name. My title. My family never Googled me. Not once in 7 years. Until my sister Meredith, freshly divorced, 3 months behind on her mortgage, typed my name into a search engine. She wasn't looking for me. She was looking for money. The voicemail started that evening. 43 calls. All from Ohio area codes. All within 24 hours. Voicemail 1, Meredith. Breezy. Practiced. Selena, it's Meredith. I know it's been a while. I need to talk to you about something important. Voicemail 7, my father. Halting. Honey, it's Dad. The family's been going through a rough patch. We could really use your help. Voicemail 23, Kyle. Yo, Sel, looks like you're doing pretty good out there. Hey, I've got this business idea and I could really use some backing. Voicemail 38, Meredith again. The breeziness was gone. Her voice cracked. Selena. I need help. Please. Help me. Help me. 2 words. Over and over. In different voices. Different tones. Different levels of desperation. Not I'm sorry. Not I was wrong. Not I miss you. Just, help me. 43 voicemails. 0 apologies. I called my best friend Jess. My family found me. A pause. Which part hurts? The part where I'm not surprised. 2 weeks later, I flew into Columbus and drove southeast through flat gray Ohio farmland. Ridgewood looked smaller than I remembered. What my family didn't know, what nobody knew, was that I was the keynote speaker at the Ridgewood Community Fundraiser that night. The same fundraiser my mother was chairing. Pastor Briggs stepped to the podium. Our keynote speaker tonight grew up in a small town, started her career from the ground up, and now serves as Chief Operating Officer of Hale and Associates, a firm that has impacted over 50,000 families across the Pacific Northwest. Please give a warm Ridgewood welcome to Selena Lawson. I stepped out from behind the curtain. The spotlight hit me. And for 1 second, just one, I was 23 again, standing in that living room while my mother told 15 people I was broken. Then I looked out at the audience. 200 faces. And at the center table, 4 faces I knew better than any others on earth. My mother's smile evaporated. Her knuckles went white against the tablecloth. Even in shock, her first instinct was audience management, scanning the room to see who was watching her reaction. My father set his water glass down so hard it sloshed. His face went slack, the look of a man who just remembered something terrible he'd done a long time ago. The room stood. 200 people, the same neighbors who'd prayed for me, whispered about me, believed my mother's story for 7 years, rose from their chairs. Standing ovation. My mother sat frozen. The only person in the room still in her seat. Near the end of my speech, I shifted. I grew up in a small town like this one. Some of you might remember me. A murmur. I left 7 years ago with $200 and a suitcase. I didn't leave because I wanted to. I left because staying was costing me something I couldn't afford to lose. I was told I was unstable. I was told I needed professional help. The truth is, the help I needed was distance. Community development isn't just about grants and infrastructure. It's about seeing people. Really seeing them. Not the version that's convenient. Not the version that fits someone else's narrative. The actual person standing in front of you. I didn't name anyone. I didn't point at my mother's table. I didn't have to. The whisper started like a match catching. That's Diane's daughter. The one she said was in a facility. She's a COO. I prayed for that girl every Sunday for 3 years. After the speech, my mother cut through the crowd. Selena, sweetheart. Arms open. A hug for the audience. What a surprise. Why didn't you tell us you were coming? I didn't step into the hug. You had my number, Mom. 7 years. Her voice dropped. You embarrassed this family. I didn't name anyone. If people drew conclusions, that's not my responsibility. Meredith appeared. We need help, Selena. I heard your voicemails. All 43. Not one apology. Just help me. That's not a family reaching out. That's a collection call. My father stepped forward. Selena, let's not do this here. Dad, you had 7 years to not do this. You chose not to. Kyle, you think you're better than us now? No. I think I'm done being less than you needed me to be. I straightened my blazer. And I walked toward the exit. Steady. Even. No running. No slamming. I'd done enough of that 7 years ago. That night, I wrote one email. To all 4 of them. I'm writing this once. I'm not co-signing any loan. I'm not funding anyone's business idea. I'm not angry. I'm clear. If any of you want a real relationship with me, it doesn't start with a voicemail asking for help. It starts with an honest conversation, where someone says what happened out loud and acknowledges it. Not we did our best. Not that's in the past. Not family is family. An apology. Specific. For the fund. For the lies. For 7 years of telling this town I was in a facility when I was building a career. Until that happens, I wish you well. But my answer is no. I pressed send. Closed my laptop. And lay in a hotel bed 3 miles from the town I grew up in, listening to Ohio silence for the first time in 7 years. 6 weeks after the fundraiser, a letter arrived at my office. By mail. My father's handwriting on the envelope. Selena. I don't know if I have the right to say this. But I'm sorry. Not for your mother, for me. For sitting in that chair and saying nothing. For every time I told you don't make your mother upset when I should have told her to stop. I wasn't keeping the peace. I was keeping my comfort. You deserved a father who chose you. Even when it was loud. I didn't. And I'll carry that. It was the first apology I'd received from a Lawson. From the person I expected it from last. Now, 3 months later, Portland. A Sunday evening in June. I'm stirring pasta in my kitchen while Jess argues with my neighbor about hot sauce. Margaret is on my couch with a glass of wine. Colleagues are setting my dining table, oak, scratched, imperfect. Mine. No obligations. No performances. No one here because they have to be. I look around the table. And I think about another table, longer, set with better china, where I was invisible. This table is smaller. The plates don't match. The wine is $12 a bottle. And I have never felt more seen in my life. Diane hasn't contacted me since my email. Meredith hasn't either. Kyle sent a one-word text. Sorry. No period. No follow-up. I haven't responded. Gerald's letter sits in my desk drawer. Maybe I'll reply. Maybe I won't. I'm letting that decision take whatever shape it needs to. The door isn't locked. But it isn't open either. It's just there, waiting for someone to knock with something more than 2 words. If you recognize any of this, the voicemails that only come when someone needs something, the narrative someone else wrote about your life while you were still living it, I want you to hear this. You're not crazy. You're not ungrateful. You're not selfish. Those words, the ones they throw at you when you refuse to shrink, those are the sound of people losing control of a story they never had the right to tell. The 2 words my family said were help me. The 2 words I needed to hear were I'm sorry. They are not the same sentence. And you don't owe anyone the first, until they've given you the second. My name is Selena Lawson. I'm 30 years old. And the most expensive thing I own isn't a title or a salary. It's the silence I can finally afford. Thank you for listening.